Goblins podcast. This is the first time I've remembered not to call it Little Red. Anyway, I'm Scott Gladstein.
I am Mike Myler.
And today's guest is...
I'm Naiche Washburn.
The man whose name we have debated how to say for like 3 years. But anyway, so yeah, welcome. This is going to be, I think, Mike's last one for, what is it, 2 weeks now? You're going to New Zealand?
2 weeks, yeah.
Oh man, that's pretty exciting.
Home of the Hobbits.
We are doing the Home of the Hobbits. We're going to Hobbiton. We're doing 62-mile-per-hour go-karts. We're doing glowing worm caves, Japanese inn with onsen spa for
awesome.
2 nights. Yeah, I'm stoked.
In our living room, we have my wife's from New Zealand. We have a big map of both islands with where everything in Lord of the Rings was filmed. And it's drawn like an old Middle Earth map. It's cool. You know,
yeah, I want to do the walk at some point, but
cool.
Steph's not going to go for it this time.
That's pretty intense, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, rightly so.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if it was easy, Frodo wouldn't have almost died doing it.
That's right. Well, for those of you who are not familiar with the show, first thing we do is a product review, and then we follow up with some character stories, and then we talk about the stuff we're working on that we like, and then the stuff that we like that other people are doing. Then we talk about Pathfinder Paizo, Starfinder stuff, then D&D 5e, news and speculation, then other RPG goodness, other media of interest goodness, and then Kickstarters, and then we just talk about whatever the hell Naiche wants to talk about because he is our guest of the week.
Gross.
Is it Naiche? Naiche?
I say it Naiche.
Naiche. Okay, I will say Naiche then the entire time. I will.
I think technically it's supposed to be said Naiche, but...
All right.
Naiche. Okay.
Naiche. All right. So anyway, I think it's not generally us who does reviews, right, Mike?
No, it is not us.
No, clearly.
It's Cool Shredder.
In back row.
This week we're actually doing previews.
Yup.
I don't know. I guess you should do a little bit of screenshotting, but be like 1970s early softcore about it. You know, don't show anything.
I go hardcore, not at all. But all right, man.
So we're gonna be talking about two things that Ryan Costello wrote, or not entirely wrote the second one, but the Kaioken hybrid class, which will be coming out soon, to accompany A Gnome in Need, which you can find out a hell of a lot more about in the next few minutes or on last week's show. So, tell us about the Kaioken class, my bro.
All right, man. So let me tell you, this book, it's all got that hybrid fingerprints all over it. And I don't like them hybrid fingerprints, but you know what? As far as a hybrid goes, this is a necessary one. This is one of them ones that, like, you know, like the Qui-Gon Monk? It was like the Qui-Gon Monk, but better. Because Qui-Gon Monk needed a hell of a lot of work. It was a cool concept, but didn't quite mesh real well. But this one does it real well. You basically got... It's gonna sound silly, but you got yourself a monk, you got yourself a magus. It fits real well together, like just some gears. You got some very pretty art. Showed you guys the cover here a second ago, but yeah. That gets my full marks.
I was impressed when I read through it, because you really feel like, God damn, Ryan lives and breathes Pathfinder, doesn't he?
Yeah, mechanically, that is a thing of beauty. I do it.
Yes, and as a hybrid class, it's kind of hard to find decent niches at this point, because, you know, there's over, 3,000 class archetypes and all that?
Yeah, man, I maintain that list. Let me tell you, just on the base classes alone, it is insanity.
Exactly. So, kudos to him for what is going to be excellent, and it'll be available in both digital and print, I believe.
Yep.
So,
Kaioken, just so it said, Kaioken times 10!
The other thing is A Gnome in Need, which is neat antecedent to the No Direction Kickstarter from years ago. I'm not going to rate it because I was deeply involved as an editor and layout artist, but it is something pretty excellent, honestly. The cover art's killer. Don't show the cover art. No.
Oh, I just did. Sorry.
Oh, stop it. Cease. Well, now they've seen it. It's really good.
Here,
it feels excellent. All the interior art follows too. and it's all about this rune that has the gnome on the go, which is related to his podcast. This like journalist of sorts, and she's been replaced and trapped, and they end up going into this thing called the Fate Seal. The party goes in there. There are many stages, I think 7 all told, and each one is written by a different author. I think 2 were written by Ryan, then 1 was Mark Moreland, Alex Greenshields, Savannah Broadway.
Who we had on before.
Yes. Not Adam Costello. That's not his name. Oh, Ryan Day. Why was I thinking it's Adam Costello?
We had him on before too, in case you didn't know.
Yes. I'm thinking of Cosmo. And then there was another person I'm forgetting too. Robert Kenzie, I think it is. Anyway, they're all really great and flavorful and unique in their own way. And all told, it all feels together. You know, like each sequence is its own thing, but mirrors and is related to the others.
Yeah, man.
And,
when you get a book that big, you really need to have it so there are individual flavors. So if you're playing the same thing for like 12 sessions, it just falls apart. But if you go ahead and you do it with like little column A, little sushi, little Italian, it's all good, you know.
Yeah, and the cartography is excellent. It's some really great cartography by Hugo Solis. And then
I hear some great editing.
I don't know,
too.
you can tell that Ryan also plays a lot of those adventure paths, you know. It doesn't feel like a rookie module in the slightest.
No,
Everything
man, not at
seemed to
all.
be accounted for very well. So definitely worth checking out when they come out, and we will inform you as soon as they do. I think it will be next month. It depends on when I am sent certain things that they need, and then then I'll send them off to the publisher and all that. So.
Oh man,
That ends our
that never feels better.
special preview. I'm still so amazed that your instant costume response was porn mustache.
Porn mustache, a bad accent, you know, aviators. Oh, that really hurts. I think I got like a nose hair out of that one that time. Oh,
Well, that sounds like effective hygiene.
yeah, but like a Brazilian for your face.
All right, well, let's move on. Next thing we'll be talking about is characters from the games. We're going to character lessons. I have a character from the game I'm currently GMing that I want to talk about. It's another hero story, but I don't know. Do you want me to start, Scott? You want to kick it off?
Let's let our guests go first. You got a character from your past that you learned a lesson from, or a character from your game that you're currently in that you're just totally psyched about?
I mean, I got a couple. I think, I don't know, I've played in so many campaigns, and I built so many characters because so many campaigns only lasted 1 or 2 sessions.
Yeah, that happens.
Well, think about it. Think about it, and I'm gonna lay down.
Let's have Mike go first.
I can, yeah, I've got 1 ready, or 2 ready.
Let's Mike go first, and you're up
Pick
next,
one.
and I'll drag my feet for the end.
So this is another Imperial Matchmaker game, which is a Mists of Akuma Kickstarter, which Naiche worked on. So they're in Sanbaoshi, or they were in Sanbaoshi. They got drawn away to the jungle,
Mike,
and
back. There you go.
in the last game they went to like this other temple to get the second plant they needed. Got exhausted along the way. Ended up like sneaking. There's another good moment for that poor like Oni touched warlock guy who fell down the ziggurat last week. This time he snuck in, like managed to avoid an Oni dude despite his incredibly terrible stealth rolls just over and over. He's invisible but kept like
I remember that.
2, 3, 4. It was just horrible. But they had managed to sneak out with the stuff. And then they had marvelous pigments on them, so they used that to make like a raft that they took like downriver to travel more quickly through the jungle. But they hadn't like killed the leader of the zombie apes from the previous game, and he'd been tracking them.
You know, because
So,
zombie apes are pretty par for the course these days.
The Girlon zombie ape leader was the key to that because he has intelligence. The rest of them are dumb as shit. But anyway,
Of course.
so it ends up like they leap onto their raft and it gets this savage fight. Eventually they like let go of the rudder, so it runs ashore, and they're getting their asses beat. Like the samurai goes down. Then like in a moment of desperation, after the wizard turns herself invisible, the warlock teleports himself in the mutant way, and then they try to like a last ditch shot on the leader, and he's still up. And then they got knocked out, and it really looked like it was going to be a TPK because the only person still up was the wizard, and she's like, this is her first D&D game, so I've been like trying to like get her into like have her spotlight moment, like that first time when you get to kick ass,
do something cool.
And, right? Yeah, where like everything hinges on you, and like you really feel like you're owning the story. And it's been a little hard. At one point, like she even ignored like the pleading, crying children in the sewers, which we of course make fun of her for now every game. But yeah. So she turned herself in.
Go ahead. I just thought of my story tip for today. Go ahead.
So she turned herself greater invisible, and they were like, okay, well they didn't know what she did. She didn't teleport away or whatever. And then she ends up like just like the last of her spells. Kills the final dudes, sends the rest off with like confusion, saved the day, and yeah, I don't know. It's just good to like, I don't know, give that newbie their proper spot to shine. I'm looking forward to seeing how she plays next game because like I think she's going to be way more about owning her character and like less passive than she tends to be. We'll see.
That's something I'm trying to get my wife to do more because she plays in our current campaign and she's a little shy.
my wife's the same way. She's okay to be a follower in the game. She is not okay to be like center of attention. She's like, I don't understand this shit well enough. I'm not doing this. So. All right, so let's hear.
Well, it's funny because she's currently, yeah. I guess I'll go with one of my favorite stories. I was playing a Dark Sun campaign in 4th edition. And I was playing I don't know. People have their thoughts about 4th. There were things I liked about it. There were things that weren't so great about it. I think it's bad to just dismiss it as a whole.
Actually,
right?
my story's 4th ed 1 too, so go ahead.
So I was playing a battle mind, and his name was Kruk, and he was...
Kruk? What?
His name was Kruk.
Oh,
it was K-R-U-K. No. So we're at this part where we were underground and we were chasing this dragonborn lich. And throughout the campaign, Kruk, he was built solidly as a tank. He was a character that I had built about doing damage with him. I just made him annoying shielded guy that you could be next to in the world. Like his entire build was just built around if you got next to him, he knocked you over and then you didn't go anywhere. Because of that, he developed his catchphrase of nobody gets away. And anytime anybody tried to run, he'd say nobody gets away, and they wouldn't get away. And throughout this whole campaign, I took him from first to I think about 18th level without dying. And he dropped below 0 I think about once. So I built him pretty tanky. So there was this one time where we were chasing this dragonborn, like I said, and we were fighting him, and he flaps his wings and he flies off. And Kruk says, well, nobody gets away. So we chase him through the essentially Underdark for another day until eventually we get to this cliff face, and about, hundreds of feet up in the wall, there's an alcove where he's hiding out. The cliff, and we get in there and we engage him in this awesome battle. And as the fight goes on, he's getting lower and lower hit points, and he starts trying to edge his way to the edge of the cliff so he can glide and try to get away. For about 2 turns, we try to keep him from getting to the edge, and he has, we can tell, almost no hit points. We're getting a little low too, but with some bad rolls, he could get away. So he goes for the edge and tries to jump, and somebody gets an attack of opportunity, and they whiff. But he's in a state where he's just falling at this point. He hasn't stabilized. So some of the other players, and we're, keep in mind, a good 500 feet off the ground or something at this point. So Kruk obviously is upset, and the party's, the name of the class was, Warlord looks at the rest of the group, grabs his spear, and says, nobody gets away. And he charges off of the edge of the cliff and follows him down into the air. After this, the ranger looks at the rest of the group, screams, nobody gets away, and dives off of the cliff after him as well. Kruk, of course, screams nobody gets away and dives off of the cliff after. And then the Scion I was playing at the same time looks at the warlock, and they both say "fuck that" and try to find something else to do. So now we're in the scene where the Dragonborn and the three of us are falling through the air, and he's trying to stabilize. The warlord goes past him, tries to swing at him, misses, shoves his spear in the wall, and manages to slow his descent. Goes by, gets a swipe at him, lands a hit, but it's not enough to take him out, and she does some crazy acrobatics to avoid dying. Kruk lands on top of him, looks him in the eye, says nobody gets away, punches him in the face for the final hit points, and then decides to stand on his corpse and ride him all the way to the ground, laughing. As he hits the ground, and this was the bullshit that happened in 4th edition, there was a Battle Mind Prestige class that gave me an at-will ability, where as a standard action, he could use something called Iron Skin, where the next time anything would roll to hit him or anything would roll to do damage to him, they would have to roll a d20. From a 1 to 10, it did nothing, 0 damage, and from a 10 to 20, it did half damage. So Kruk stands atop the corpse of the Dragonborn, hurtling towards the ground about 500 feet from the roof, right? Dia makes the roll, hits the ground, makes a crater, walks out of the crater completely unscathed, and says nobody gets away for the final time.
So the lesson there is always have a catchphrase.
Yes, always have a catchphrase. Kruk was my boy. He was fun. He dived into a purple worm's mouth at 1.2 and proceeded to kill it from the inside because it was easier to hit.
So the one I got for today is actually also 4th Ed. I've run 2 4th Ed games. I ran one of them. No, Andrew ran that one. So I definitely ran that one. Okay, so I ran that one. So this lesson of this story is about the value of playing a character that goes against the grain. It kind of subverts what you're thinking. So we had this girl at college, Kim Mann. Kim is a very unassuming, Kim, if you ever see this, you're adorable. She's a very unassuming, very small, mousy girl. Glasses, red hair, you don't look at her twice. And she's playing our game, and she plays an Asmar. There we go. And I forget which, I think she was a cleric or something. And this also is kind of about why you should, players adopting NPCs and why you should let them do it. And she's playing the typical like anime girl, like very moe kind of deal. And she's sitting there, and they're in a fight, and she's like, "Well, what do I have as a weapon?" This whole thing was emotional elementals. It was fun, but anyway, they're fighting wolves as one does at low level, and there's a wolf on the ground, and it needs to be coup de grace. And we're like, okay, it's it's a young wolf because that's what the stats were. Okay, cool. How do you want to like end it? And she goes, I want to curb stomp that bitch. And we all look at her like, and that's when we realized Kim was not playing a nice little cleric. So she curb stomped the wolf, then healed it and brought it back to life. This wolf then proceeded to continuously try to kill the party. But she was like, it's my cute puppy. And then would like glare it to death. It was like, it would try to kill us in our sleep. but we're PCs, so what do we care, But it had like a face that was like stapled back together multiple times. We kept track of the injuries it got on it, and it was just this walking like ball of like scar tissue by the end of it. Like, it was like, oh God, please don't do anything to me. You're gonna fight that bad guy. It wasn't an animal companion at all. It was just you're gonna fight that bad guy, or you get the mace again. Yeah. So
animal abuse. The game.
Oh, it was. And one of our party members was continuously trying to kill the wolf, not out of a sense of like I'm gonna kill the wolf, but out of a sense of mercy. So he finally
put this thing out of its misery.
Oh yeah, totally. He finally managed to at one point, and we were all we were much more comfortable with the game after that. But yeah, Kim's cleric was just like, puppy, curb stomp. We're like, curb stomp? But yeah, that was my story. Thanks for reminding me of that, because that was I tried to block out a lot of my 4th Ed experiences.
I was gonna say 4E always gets like a bad rap. and it's unfair. Like they just should have called it Gauntlet, and everybody would have loved it.
Well, the thing
Like-
is, okay, it became much more of a game than a role-playing game, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
you
they
could
were
definitely apply
clearly
that,
trying to appeal to the MMORPG market.
especially if you looked at the
And-
artwork with all the glowy giant shoulder pads.
All the formatting, everything about it.
Yeah.
Like it was clearly meant to appeal to people who played World of Warcraft, and like if they had just called it Gauntlet the RPG, or God forbid, made it the World of Warcraft D&D, like that would have gone bonanzas.
I was actually talking with my team last night, and one of the things I was talking about was, in a role-playing game, we're talking about how much of it is just expressly stated, bluntly, raw statement of mechanics versus how much of it is, kind of wrapped into flavor, if you will. And if you look at like a Magic the Gathering card, it says literally 5/5 trample, elven or humanoid elven creature, blue mana, 5. It's very specific and listed all down, rather than saying this creature has trample. Now, let me tell you about its attack and defense. Like instead of like writing it, it's just like stated, and that's a lot of how Fourth Ed was. It was very much, this is a standard action once per day, and you can have this many once per day. This many. It was very like you could see the bare bones a lot is what it was, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. But for that market, I don't know if it was the best choice.
I felt like Fourth did. I felt like it did some interesting things that made like building adventures a little faster
totally.
as a dungeon master. I liked the addition of the at-will powers because it made some classes like wizards and sorcerers feel a little less useless at low levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they kept some of those things going forward into 5th edition. And there were things that they learned from 4th that worked and things from 4th that didn't work. And I think, like you said, I think a lot of the things that you said about, the flavor somewhat missing in 4th was something that they tried to fix in 5th.
Oh, yeah. And I gotta say, 5th is, in my mind, a big step up. I'm much more times. Go ahead.
5th is largely nostalgic. So the problem with 4th and the whole thing about that was like I was one of the many people who pre-ordered a 4th edition book, and I was expecting. So what we had before was 2nd edition, and then a vast refinement of 2nd edition called 3rd edition, which was further refined in 3.5. So I sat down at the table thinking it was going to be, the 5-star chef experience at the Chinese restaurant that I was accustomed to going to. And what they served was not necessarily a bad meal. It doesn't really matter. It just wasn't Chinese food. It was like, hey, here's your parfait. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Just like everybody else was.
Yeah.
It definitely was a big change for sure.
And it was a different direction is the thing. And so when you look at 5th, it's a nostalgic thing. It's clearly meant to hearken to 2nd edition players, and that's why they've started releasing, and I think even they're doing reprintings of all the 1st edition and 2nd edition adventures.
I will point out though that 4th did reprint a bunch of earlier edition stuff like Ravenloft and whatever.
Did they update it?
Yeah, they did. And
Yeah, because I remember people losing their minds over what was happening to Forgotten Realms. I was like, okay, whatever.
Well, it's just one of those things.
What is this Spellscar bullshit?
Yeah.
But no, I like 5th a bit more because I'm on the spectrum of game versus play. I'm much more on the play side, so I like the more mind's eye role play. Hey, my social book. Abstract stuff more than the hardcore input output game resolve the game mechanic system, which is on the game side of things. And I felt that 4th was much more towards this side, and 5th is much more towards this side.
I think it's easier to engineer higher drama in Pathfinder than it is in 5th, which isn't to say that you can't.
I had no problem with either of them. They feel similar to me.
I don't know, dude. 5th edition, all that number bounding stuff. Once you get into like the middle part of the sweet spot, like between 5th and 12th, I think it's harder to just like mess. Like if I just sat down, no play testing, produced an adventure for 5th edition and for Pathfinder, both at like 9th level. I think what you would get in actual play to be more dramatic would be the Pathfinder stuff because there's more reliability to all the numbers. Right? Like, have you tried to make monsters in 5th edition?
I have not. Yeah.
There is a hilarious table that is just I don't even know why they. Honestly, I wouldn't have even included it. But it's like monster by CR. Here's how much damage it should do. AC, blah blah blah. And they don't even follow their own rubric. Like it's
That sucks.
That's what I'm saying. Like the more you get towards that play thing, the harder it is to like reliably produce certain designs.
I mean, you're designing something entirely different when you're doing a game versus play, and it's where in that spectrum you feel comfortable with designing. I love the abstract because me as a GM, I like to do the abstract. All right, there's a thing. There's some. It's the example of, so you walk up to the castle and there's a bolt of lightning that cracks, and someone goes, "What's the damage on the lightning?" And you go, "Who the fuck cares? I don't care what the damage of the lightning is. Do you care what the damage of the lightning is?" And they go, "Well, I want to charge my spell wand, my wand of this that does the storing of the energy." And I'm like, it's charged. Who cares? Go next. Or I have a +3 sword. I'm just like, you have instead a sword that cuts through. It's a lightsaber. And they're like, but numbers. I'm like, but abstract. That's kind of where I feel on it.
Perfect example of how. Remember, I was bitching about Storm King's Thunder. I don't think that would ever happen with a Pathfinder product, where you suddenly get, the fucking gold bullion of Fort Knox dropped in your lap. But because of the laxity in the way magic items and all of the wealth system in 5e is, there you go, in like a big published book, in like a hardcover book. From the first party publisher, like,
I get you.
I think it's good to keep your rules consistent, because it makes building things as a dungeon master more simple. I think most books should be more geared towards the dungeon master than the player, because honestly, a lot of players don't even really read the books. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to third party, I think it's good to build stuff with the intention that they balance well, and I think the stuff about balancing is that different games play differently with the amount of loot that you're getting and the kind of gear you're getting and where stuff is available. I like a lot of the simplicity of 5, where there's like advantage and disadvantage. I think that's an interesting system. I think one of the things that's lacking from 5 though is that like you can have advantage or disadvantage, but what about those other small bonuses, right? When everything utilizes the same system, it makes the different kinds of actions you can do seem less interesting in a way.
So I'll disagree with that. Part of me really, there's two sides to my brain. That's game versus play. It's do I have advantage? Do I have an edge over my opponent, rather than do I win against my opponent? Because at certain levels, having advantage, just having the flat thing that is a benefit, as stock benefit, means that I'm not going to have a +40 to my stealth, and I can hide behind the glitter dust, because I've done that. I mean, in a more abstract concept, you get more binary sometimes. It's more, yeah, I can probably win, or yeah, I'm going to win, rather than, well, do I have a 33.33%, of course, repeating, chance of success here. It's I'd rather have something unique and new less often and more all-encompassing than an incremental tiny increase continuously. So getting a +1 sword, then a +2 sword, then a +3 sword, then a +4 sword, +5 sword is well and good, but honestly, I'd rather have a flaming spear that connects to the lore of the world, and then on the other side, I'd have the invisible arrow thing, and then you go like, but how do you know where it hits? Then you have to talk about that, you know what I mean? That's what, now damn it, now did it have a +1 on it? No, it doesn't have a +1 on it, who cares? I
agree. I don't like the incremental bonus increase. I like, that was something about 4th that I actually liked, the kind of just proficiency bonus that's stacked, right? That increased slowly, and there's less focus on like items themselves having bonuses. I think it's less about, like, I agree with you on that point. I guess the point I was trying to make was just that I think that it's good to have both and balance them together, right?
That's what a role playing
thing like is. Just advantage or disadvantage, then it seems like, well, I could be above him, or I could do this, and you're always getting the same bonus, which can get a little boring. As opposed to, like, I think a lot of players like myself like combining effects. So well, if I throw something on his head and I jump over him and I do this, it would be,
so
more advantageous.
Advantage is ±5 with a slight variation because you have the higher chance of rolling a 20 on stuff that only succeeds on 20, like critical hits and saves. So let's get that right out. So they could have just said it's plus or minus 5, and then keep 20. But like,
Yeah.
it is more appealing to call it something handy like advantage or disadvantage.
So yeah,
And
I totally agree. Now, one thing that I learned.
And the other part about this argument that you're having is that if I wanted to manufacture an encounter in something that I'm publishing to be dramatic and to have a bunch of like different modifiers like that, you can't really do that in 5e because like if I'm shooting through a windstorm, I've got disadvantage. But if I have true strike and feats that make me a super archer and magic bracers of archery and have advantage 3 times over, I still just make the roll regularly because they cancel out regardless of how many advantage or disadvantage you have. So that simplification, like, that's what I'm talking about with the manufacturing of stuff. Like,
oh, I agree. So I think we hit on an interesting point earlier. You were saying, I think a lot of players like this. So I was running a game. I've mentioned it a few times. It was 12 people for 2 years at once.
Well, hold on. Are we? Let's.
No. I'm getting.
We've talked about this for like 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna say people play games for different reasons.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think having variance in your rules allows different types of play, right?
Oh, totally. And that's why it's a role-playing in game.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think at the end of the day, everything's.
I don't know if you have that turned off or something.
I think my computer's being mad at my camera because I'm using headphones that have a microphone, but I have a webcam. But
it's an entertaining computer.
The speaker on my webcam is disabled, so it's just like, oh, you're using a USB device? And I'm like, no, I'm not. So, I don't know. It's just being irritating.
All right, so anyway, Mike, do you want to move into the next section here?
I do, because it does relate to this, because I've been designing a lot of stuff for 5e, but this next project is the last one, because it's the last time where I have this, like, morality clause, because Pathfinders, they're pretty strict about it, and I want to do stuff like kill and mollify the bodies of fictional children, which is not acceptable for Pathfinder. They won't you use the sticker. You can't say it's related to Pathfinder. So, no such compunctions with D&D 5e.
Oh,
so what I'm
really?
No, you can do whatever.
Huh.
They don't. Yeah.
Book of Erotic Fantasies coming right up, man.
Oh God, I hope not. But anyway, well, I mean, like, yeah, let people who want to do that do it. But I'm more interested in doing an evil book. So, yeah, we started writing what is called #Secret Project Goody. I will reveal it's called
you're talking about.
The Book of Exalted Darkness. Yeah.
Nice.
So we started writing this over a year ago, and originally it was just like, oh, let's do the Book of Exalted Darkness or Vile Darkness, but let's like put it in the campaign setting where the good guys have won, so like there's a purpose for the players to stick together. And then it languished over as a pitch at like EN World and changed, and you know, as industry pitches do for a while. And then eventually we took it over to Legendary Games and like, yeah, go for it. And we got the idea to not just make the world celestial, but also decopunk, because that's very visually interesting.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah. If you look at your inbox, I sent you some PDFs.
Okay, I will
do not screen share them.
I will pull them up after the broadcast. How's that?
Yeah. So Indy Martin has done 2 incredible pieces of artwork for the covers of some free PDFs that'll go out. One is called the Evil Primer and has a bunch of stuff in there, like 2 attributes. So, okay, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. All this decopunk stuff, but the technology is all based on this thing called Naiche. And Naiche is this magical energy that provides power, much like electricity does. Gives them cars, cable trolleys, telephones, anything you'd find in like 1920 America. And as a side effect, the radiation it gives off elongates the life of creatures that have good alignment. So, like, everybody who is good lives longer. Which isn't, like, evil, right?
No.
Like, how would you feel about that if in the real world you found out that, like, electromagnetic waves elongated the lifespan of people who are good?
You know what would be really insulting? When I found out that I wasn't good.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't care if I'd be good or not. I'd have a problem with that, even if I was a good person, right?
It's always an interesting question when it comes to, like, alignment as mechanics for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, or spells that detect alignment, because then you just have the whole question of, like, well, I just go around seeing who's good and who's evil, and I'm like, I don't think it's that simple. You know, so I always have
major has, like, a coronary.
Yeah, I tend to keep alignment as a kind of, like, abstract thing in my games. You know.
We in one of our what is it, All Path Aesthetic, we converted the system over to philosophies. So it's like like you're a nihilist, okay? Detect nihilist. But I think that's a better way of doing it. But I mean, I think it's really fun to like think about a world like Mike's building, in which there is an absolute and like here is the chunk printed rules for how to be a good person, as defined by this weird magical energy.
And moreover, it gives you a justification to be evil, right? Because like there is definitely a viable question of free will involved with that whole Iniqua thing. So like, I could not to say that like there isn't like some value to be just like role playing evil characters. That can be fun and stuff, but like that can get boring and be difficult for some people to dig into. But like this is like a real philosophical quandary, and like even if you're like neutral or like you were saying, lots of different philosophies would definitely be not cool with this. So like there's
Rand is in the corner crying.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting. I like the setting idea because it provides an interesting quandary where it's like you have alignment as quantifiable, but people can still disagree with it, right? Like you actually have like some sort of authoritative force saying these people are what I'm going to call good, and they get, this benefit, but that still doesn't mean that people can't debate about whether or not that's all right. You can have, and I think that's interesting and provides some interesting conflict because you can have some characters that might be, air quotes, good, but are in opposition to the party. And it can be like, well, it gives people a justification and NPCs justifications for their actions that I think would be interesting to explore. And I think that's one of the few campaign settings I would actually want to have hard alignments in, right?
Oh, it gets harder than that. So like all that Iniqua tech, if you are good aligned, it works better for you. If you're neutral aligned, it only kind of works for you. And then if you're evil, it doesn't work for you at all. But you get so like instead of new races, I normally do like a bunch of new races.
Yeah.
Instead we're doing inherent heresies. So like you are inherently wrathful or envious or greedy or all the 7 deadly sins. And then you get a sin score and a sanctity score. A sanctity score is like how good you can make it look like you're not evil. And then the sin score is how like fucking evil you are. And you use your sanctity score to trick Iniqua devices into thinking that you're neutral or to pervert them. So like you can grab an Iniqua pistol, which normally for good creature only does like good bludgeoning damage, like a light crossbow. And for a neutral creature isn't quite as good damage, but if you pervert it, it does like a shitload of damage, and then after a minute it blows up, so you can use it like a grenade.
Nice.
Right? Yeah, so like all the tech will have cool stuff like that. And I don't know, I just spent the last couple days making the PDFs for it, and they are all so slick.
We did.
I'm so happy with how they look.
I love doing stuff for evil characters. I mean, we've had to skirt that because of
the Pathfinder stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is my last outing for 5e, so if like, I'll keep making stuff for my product lines, but no more new projects.
We did Tome of Wicked Things, Tome of Wicked Things 2, Tome of Wicked Things Redux, Tome of Horror, which is a serial killer class. But on our blog, I remember I wrote it up, I know. We wrote up a whole list of like 20-something encounters, good aligned encounters, just ideas for it, and then the Swan Hunter Paladin archetype, which is the good aligned paladin who kills good things.
Oh, I forgot. So yeah, the first PDF is Evil Primer and has all this inherent, all the evil stuff. So you get like class archetypes and other things. And then the other one is an adventure module. It's like a complete adventure module for 2nd to 3rd level, and as maps. And it's all about the city of Legio. It's called Killing the Golden Twins. And you have to, you're all like, you all know one another because you have jobs that take you by like the high school basically. And you either work there or you're like the janitor, the gardener, whatever. I have suggestions. And then you have this like premonition about like, I'm not going to go into this dream sequence. And then you have to like kill these twins, and you have to infiltrate the school and like get them alone. And all the instructors, I have them statted out. They all have class levels and stuff. Then you have to escape the city.
That's what you did there at a school.
Yeah, it's you don't just kill the twins. You have to like scar the corpses with blasphemous runes
Oh
so
my
they can't be
God.
resurrected. Well, they're the great grandchildren of one of the celestial heroes, and this mad scientist that's engineered this whole
That's
thing
beautiful.
has distracted the real defenders of the city with this like abomination attacking a noble with like lots of land holdings on the continent. So like it's the moment. It's like the window, and you're told about it like right before you wake up for the morning, and
Nice.
then you have to engineer it. Yeah, it's and it
We'll save some for the players, man. Let them
yeah,
figure it out.
it's good. It's good.
I think it's interesting that you're working on an evil setting because I'm currently playing in a game, but before that I was running a game, and I've started concepting another campaign since then, and I've been working on it more lately, and it's a very horror-themed campaign with, all the sanity and madness rules and corruption and all this other stuff.
I should not be allowed
Yeah.
to write horror
Mhm.
stuff. I would go to really sick places, man.
Oh, that's the point, right? But
No, I would go to jail for what I wrote.
But I think it's
They did-
interesting, and I like some of the stuff you're doing, and it brings up some stuff I might be interested in looking at closely with my campaign too.
The other designers talked me out of it being like adolescents. They're like, Mike, I have kids. Mike, can it not be children? And I was like, fine. Can we do teenagers? And they're like, oh yeah, kill all the teenagers. That's fine. I was like, all right.
Yeah, man, I would do some sick stuff I'm not allowed to write. I have Ian, who is one of my editors, who is my Scott. No, you can't do that. I have weird. I posted up on my design thing, a link to my design workshop or workspace at one point, and I'm like, guys, none of this is PC. None of this is supposed to be put out. No, we cannot have sex with the demon goddess and pop out babies, and that's a character class.
Yeah, I don't want to. I have like lust is one of the things you can pick up as an inherency, and that's like the farthest I'm gonna go with it. Like, I don't.
I think it's unfortunate that there aren't more options and things where you can play a character who has like moral quandaries, right? Like you play a character who's in service to be for some reason to some sort of evil, entity, and you're trying to use it for good when you can, but then there's actual like requirements for you to go through and stuff.
Actually,
I
last
think
the show I talked about, my story was about a player who did just that.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to see more rules built around that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that Pathfinder is lacking, at least in core set rules, is a sense of risk and reward when it comes to stuff. There's just a lot of hard bonuses, or you can do this once per day. I would like to see more systems where it's, I'd like to see more blood magic style stuff, right? Where it's like, well, I'm gonna open myself up to this, and it's gonna carry some risk, or I'm gonna get sick or something, but I can get some stuff back. Actually, in the current campaign that I'm working on, I've been playing around with the idea where I have potions in my campaign come in two varieties. There's normal potions, which cost a little bit more than they normally do, but they're completely safe to drink. They work normally. And then there's more potions that you can get that function as the other potions, but they're at half price. But that's because they're made out of impure ingredients and they're not refined as well. So the half price potions are more accessible, right? But they carry the risk of being addictive, or you becoming addicted to using them. And on top of that, I have mana potions in my game, which only come in an addictive substance, right?
Nice.
But they give you spell slots back, so they're really useful. But they're twice as addictive as the normal ones, and you have twice as much of a risk. So it's like I like giving players options where it's like, if you want to do this, you can, and there's some good benefits for doing it. But know that
it might come back to bite you in the butt.
Yeah, and I like that sort of calculated risks with players, especially in a game that works so much on random chance and D20 rolling anyway.
Mike, actually,
Like, why not give?
That's actually a pretty good segue into what I want to talk about. What project I want to talk about? Is that good? You done with yours?
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk a little bit more about.
I should say when the Kickstarter's happening.
Yeah, please.
May 23rd, I think it is the third Tuesday in May.
All right then.
Yeah.
We'll
sorry.
definitely be talking more about that when that comes along.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, so you were talking about risk and reward and kind of that payoff thing. I'm going to talk again about, because it's releasing this week, is the alternate path social characters. And one of the things I'm going to talk about is something we kind of wrote and expanded was services. I know people are like, oh, get a hireling, dig a hole, whatever. But we wanted to like political services. So like, And no, this is not a Monica Lewinsky thing. This is like for example, you can arrange meetings between people on like a casual level, on a informal level, and like a super like blood-packed form level. And this could be this could be as like sorry, my dog wants to go out. This could be this would be people or organizations, so you can actually break it down like that. But kind of what you were talking about before was there's different grades of services. So you can actually get, you can reduce the price by a bunch, I think it's up to like 70. Some of the services are like 500,000 gold, but but you can get stuff like, this is like a quarter of the price, but there's like a 75%, 80% chance that these guys are going to rat you out, and there's a 50% chance they will take your money and run. I don't have money any other way. But it also talks a bit more about what is it? It talks more about like how to get things like professionally done, how to do them so you can actually like misdirect them, like buy something and misdirect it over to someone else. But it also talks about money not as especially for services, not as like I will give you, here's the bag of coin, measure it, weigh it, go do the job. It's much more like, hey, I'll do this job for you if you do this job for me, and you can use the prices that we present as comparisons. So maybe the guy is going to give you this much because he doesn't think you're trustworthy. That sucks. It's insulting, But okay, I'll exchange it for this one, and he's not trustworthy either. Or you could have it intentionally bungle, you know what I mean? And I don't know, it's really fun with that. But yeah, Alternate Path Social Characters is coming out hopefully Sunday. It's all formatted. It covers all of our Alternate Path things are like mechanic crunch. Here's some things for your game that you can just drop in there without. We always do quick, easy rules. Like this one has quick, easy rules for implementing social combat, which is like verbal duels, but like super light and actually has mechanical implications for combat. Because verbal duels are really cool, but you have to have a freaking PhD in them to do them.
The Bart Simpson rules of dueling.
I mean, literally, we have a style for that. We have style feats for that. We have like equipping style, so you can be like Bart or like Deadpool or Spider-Man and like totally equip someone to death.
Is there a Yo Mama style?
Yes, actually, there kind of is. There's a bravado style. We have charm, bravado, and like a quippy, funny guy one. But yeah, let's see. The classes we always toss in there. We have Noble, who is the option whore of the social world. I
think there are 2 episodes already that you talked about the Noble.
I love the Noble, dude. Don't even.
It is readily apparent.
Yeah, but let's see.
I want to say it was last episode and the episode 2 previous, the one before the movies.
Yeah, we had Legionary though is like a citizen soldier. We did a lot of work on that. We redid a bunch of that right before release. And Showman I haven't talked about a lot. Showman is like the supernatural magic. He's magic, so magical like social character. They're kind of like the ringleader, like circus-themed things, or like a showman. They have a weird stage-proppy weapon that they can make that kind of follows our Devati from Gonzo 2. Didn't you
the ones that do illusion damage?
It does illusion, yeah. Well, you roll to disbelieve the weapon.
Yeah.
Did you do the artwork for the Devati?
I did.
Yeah, you did. It has a similar mechanic to that. It has an archetype called the Ringleader, which is based on like the clone stuff. I don't know. It's freaking cool. I love that book. There's stuff from that one in Ascetic, which I'm going to be using like in every one of my own games. Actually, a few of them start off as home-ruled stuff, and like that I've been using. I'm like, I just use this all the time. I should probably put that out as a product, shouldn't I? But anyway, yeah, that's what I got rolling. Do you have anything you want to talk about in terms of like projects you're working on? I don't know if you have like, do you have personal projects you've been working on?
Yeah, I actually have a game that I'm working on.
Yeah?
Like a computer game.
Very cool.
Are you allowed to talk about it?
Yes, I am. It's my product. It's my project. I'm working on it with Boulder Games, which is a studio down here in Denver. I guess I'll put in the chat how to...
Just post it on the Facebook event, actually. It'll be a lot easier for people to see.
We don't have our Kickstarter up yet, but we're going to be getting one up soon. Right now, we're currently shooting for a Halloween release date because it is a horror game. I've been posting some of the art on it on my Facebook and on the Boulder Games Facebook page. Yeah, I quit Facebook for a while because
Yeah,
it was
I
just
know.
distracting me, and I just needed to
gotcha.
get away from it.
Unfortunately for Mike and I, we kind of have to live on that because everyone's contacting us 45 times a day.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
necessary
Do
I'm
not
trying to
have-
get better at social media. I suck at it. The main thing I can say about it is that because some of it is kind of secretive, like a lot of the game revolves around kind of trying to figure out the story.
So sell us on an elevator pitch. What's the core concept of this game?
Cool. I guess the best way to describe it is it's a combination of a survival horror and a point-and-click adventure game.
Well, that's pretty cool. So
So,
you get retro with it?
Yeah, a lot of the game I'm trying to kind of cater to that kind of retro feel and also to the nostalgic part of like kind of like the PS2 era of horror.
Oh, fun.
So there's lots of kind of like fixed camera angles and stuff like
Nice.
that when you're in the house.
So,
The game
like
takes
Resident Evil stuff.
yeah, kind of. The game takes place in kind of two segments, in the daytime and in the nighttime. And during the day, it's kind of like a point-and-click adventure mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And then at night, it's you're navigating the main character's kind of nightmares that she's having, and it goes
that's
into a
cool.
first-person kind of survival horror Outlast style thing. So we're in production in there. The game is called Red, and yeah, you guys can look forward for more of that. We're shooting for a Halloween release date. I'm going to be at Denver Comic Con this year on the main floor.
Let us know.
Showing
We'll
our
promote the
demo.
hell of that for you, man.
Did you ever play Max Payne? Any of the Max Payne games?
Yeah.
I haven't, unfortunately.
Ah,
Pretty
okay. I was gonna
classic,
say
man.
like they had dream sequences in there, and it's kind of
Holy
sounds
shit.
like you're saying the same thing. Although I imagine it's a little bit more action oriented than the Max Payne dream sequence.
There's no combat in my game at all.
Oh, then it might not be. It sounds like it is
Mhm.
quite like the Max Payne dream. Do you have to walk over a crazy long blood bridge in the void that is incredibly frustrating to stay on?
I'm trying to avoid a lot of. When I was working on it and developing it, I came up with some mantras where it's like I really want to avoid doing a lot of stuff of horror games that I don't like,
Yeah.
which
Thank God.
is
Thank
a
God.
lot of stuff like the Resident Evil style puzzles where it's like you need the snake coin or
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
cup
Totally.
key. I'm like, there's none of that in the game. It's just kind of survival and resource management and kind of a lot of sound and looking and light based stuff
Unfortunately,
without a lot of the
Go ahead.
puzzles.
Unfortunately,
Not that I
am
don't
not
like
a-
puzzles.
I am not a huge like horror gamer. I've tried.
Mhm.
I've gone through games, especially like the old Resident Evils and stuff. But it just doesn't like that. And horror movies don't do much for me. I just kind of like
Hmm.
I get too separated. You know what I mean? Like there's too much. Like, maybe a jump scare to me like that, but it's like Mike's setting would be a hell of a lot scarier for me. You know, the deep
Yeah.
existential crises scare me, not like horror and stuff. I don't know. But let us know.
Well-
Definitely, we're gonna have to promote the hell out of that.
The mad
For
scientist.
sure. I've got art on it on my Tumblr, and if you go on my Facebook page at Undead Aggro, there, and you can go to the Boulder Games page and see stuff there. We're trying to do more stuff on Reddit. I was going to do an AMA at some point, so I'll let you guys know about that. But yeah, I'd love it if you guys checked it out. I want more people to have their eyes on it so I can make it better, you know?
Yeah, let me know. I'm happy to help. Have Boulder Games done a Kickstarter before?
I think they did some stuff with their Astro Golf game, but I'm not sure. Right now, we're kind of like setting it up and figuring all that out.
Would you like me
Yeah,
to
let's
share
say if
our
you
artwork on
want to
screen,
help
by the
with
way?
that, let me know. I'm happy to help out.
For sure. I always want collaborators and people on it. And we're going to do kind of like rewards and stuff where you can get like secrets and stuff in the game tied in with what you're doing and, you know, stuff like that. It's interesting. It's got like kind of like a 3-part story where you're trying to figure out the past of the main character. You're trying to figure out the kind of mystery that she's currently working on and then figure out how it's all tied together
Nice.
and why it's happening. So it's like a supernatural kind of dark fantasy setting. It's very inspired by kind of Guillermo del Toro and Mike Mignola.
You just sold me on that. If it's your art and Guillermo del Toro's
Yeah,
stuff,
it's
I'm
it's
okay
a
with it.
it's a. I wanted to break a lot of conventions with horror games, so we're not going the super hyper realistic route. We're doing it's very stylized, sort of Wolf Among Us Telltale game style.
Fun.
So it's going to have kind of toon shaders and stuff like that, but it's going to be really dark and atmospheric.
Fun.
So it should be cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So yeah, I think our next segment is favorite project you're not working on.
I'm gonna go with Superpowered Legends: The Calculator, which is the 100th Superpowered Legends
Jesus,
product.
man.
So if you like Mutants and Masterminds, check out Superpowered Legends. You'll see a lot of familiar things as well as original works
Mm-hmm.
that are not like homages to Black Panther or whomever, but they're all really awesome. All the artworks.
T'Challa.
Yeah.
Jacob Blackwood,
He,
right?
yeah, Jacob Blackman. It's all Jacob Blackman, who also worked on Mr. Akuma. He's got a good style. It's very comic book. It's super appropriate for what he's doing, what he's up to. We've talked about Superpowered Legends before with their bestiary, Superpowered bestiary. So all these are just as good, but with way more flavor. And yeah, I'm looking forward to when Jacob finally gets around to doing the setting for it, like the
That'll be
proper
something fun.
compilation. Yeah. So check that out.
So you got any projects you want to pitch, like that you're not personally involved with?
Me currently?
Yeah.
Not really. I've been so caught up in my work lately that I kind of don't get a lot of chance to look outside of it. So as far as other indie stuff going on, I'm kind of outside of the loop right now.
That's okay. Let's see. Today I want to talk about Kobold's Guide to Game Mastery. If you guys haven't read the Kobold Guide to Game Design, and you want to, and you're not already in this industry and have a few years under your belt, go read it, because it is like, it's one of those things I want to take and, if this was the book, I just want to take it and beat the new person with the book. Be like, read everything in this book, and then we can talk. It lays down such fundamental ground rule stuff. I mean, it's not like advanced super secret industry knowledge, but it's like, I would even to design students, I'd be like, it's not expensive. It's like $5 or something. Go read it. Go figure out go make a PDF. I don't care if you do it in Open Office, which my first one was in. Go do it. Figure it out. I didn't read this beforehand. I wish I did. But it's one of those things where I've handed that book to new designers we've worked with, and I've been like, I know you're having problems with this, and this. Go ahead and read this book, and we'll talk afterwards. And they're doing one on game mastery now, which makes me kind of really excited. There's some big names in that too. Let me see who's on that one.
I'd love to be more involved in that kind of stuff. I feel like I do a lot of art stuff, but project I'm working on, I'm kind of the lead designer as well.
Fantastic. Give it a read. Was it
10
minutes to Midnight? Was that the company who did the other one? It's another famous design book that's on a drive-through too.
I always talk to my wife about how I'm frequently surprised how much about game design I learned just by playing D&D for so long and reading so many rule books over and over again in high school. And I'm like, I never knew this would be a skill that I would put on my resume. But there's so many things where I'm watching things about game design or other things like that, and I'm like, oh, I know that because I read 4 different Dungeon Masters guides and
very useful.
20 different other rule books from front to cover during my teenage years. Right?
So this one includes, let's see, Zeb Cook's on there, James Jacobs. I thought they were talking about other people. There's other people in there too. I don't know. I saw the big list of names before. I can't find it. I'm finding a much smaller list right now. But anyway, a lot of really big names on there talking about how to run a game. And these are guys who have written for Pathfinder. These are guys who've written for D&D. These are industry vets that they will not steer you wrong. Go ahead and give it a read. I don't know if it's out yet. Is it?
I think so.
Let's see. I don't think the hardcover is out. Nope, it's all out. Never mind. I am lying. And it is only PDF is $10. I'll tell you right now, that's a game mastery guide I would not regret buying. I didn't like the Paizo, by the way. I didn't like the Pathfinder game mastery guide at all. I felt really cheated on that book.
NPC Gallery. That was their first NPC stat blocks.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it much. I was like, oh look, it's nothing new and interesting. But yeah, go check out that one. Go check out the game design guide too. There's a few other ones out there, but yeah, they're definitely worth reading.
Huh. Well,
but yeah, anyway.
I don't think we have anything on the Paizo and D&D fronts, do we?
Yeah, we were looking over stuff, and none of it was like, oh, like they were talking about the was it the demon book, the what was
There's an unearthed arcana for revised classes or subclasses.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a reprinting of stuff. I don't know. I know that there's a new arcana art. I haven't really gotten to look them over yet. I've been busy with work.
And
Sorry.
prepping for your awesome trip.
No,
I feel like-
actually, it's just been work because like that is the prep.
Yep. So I will pull
Sorry,
up
Nick.
the image.
I was just gonna say, I was like, I know that there's a archer subclass for Magus, but I've always felt like arcane archer should just be a base class.
Depends how you play it. One of the things is, so with Gish stuff, like anything that mixes magic and combat, I think that there should be an option. There should be something, because it's too much of a trope not to explore. But people get really specific about it. I've written a whole book on it, but get really specific on, well, if you use a bow in magic, you're over here, and if you use a sword in magic, you're over here. If you use fists in magic, you're over here, and your guns in... I'm like, okay, can I just be magic dude? Can I just be sword and magic dude? Cool, yeah, sure, whatever, you know? Like, that gets too, like, niche sometimes. I don't really like that as much.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played Fate yet?
Fate. Yeah, I've played Fate once or twice.
Okay, sounds like it'd be like way up your alley.
No, it is. Fate, GURPS, Mutants and Masterminds, all that stuff. I like in Savage Worlds. I like that you can just kind of like build what you want. But it's one of those things where it's like, again, that's a different design ethos. Kind of. That's something that's not going to really showcase your character classes as much. You know what I mean?
I think it's interesting because whenever I run campaigns, like I have a lot of house rules, like I assume like a lot of us do, but generally my house rules tend to empower my players more. Like I kind of I would go the Overwatch route where I'm like, I want all of you to be overpowered because the more overpowered you guys are, the crazier shit I can throw.
Oh yeah,
at you.
totally.
I'm like,
so I have a rule called the Rule of Cool. If you're doing something, I give you a bonus for it. That's cool. You're jumping off a cliff to cleave a dude on a train in half. Instead of being like, well, you're getting a -5 for this and a -2 because it's moving, and you're gonna take damage from the. My answer is, we're playing a barbarian game. You don't get a penalty. You get a bonus. You know.
right? Yeah.
So it's all about player empowerment. I mean, you could.
I think it's and it's interesting now that I'm working on a horror campaign because one of the things in horror games is that horror games are harder to design in a lot of ways without being like frustrating because regular video games are all about empowerment. You're supposed to be a powerful, avatar. This is your character. You're a Master Chief. You can stomp on aliens all day and none of them can even scratch you. In a horror game, it's all about disempowerment. So balancing my design aesthetics for Pathfinder where I want my players to be able to play the character that they want to play, not be held back by, minor rules and things that say there's a lot of Pathfinder where it's like a lot of discouraging rules in Pathfinder and a lot of feat taxes that I don't agree with,
totally.
right? So I do away with a lot of those. So now I'm thinking, I was like, well, now I'll do this fun game with my players where I give you a lot of empowerment. Here's a lot of bonus feats, a bunch of condensed feats and skills and stuff like that, so you can say yes a lot more often to stuff that you want to do.
That's actually why we started the alternate path line, was because we were like, we're like, no, you like ultimate path combat. We're like, these 3 feats should be 1 feat that progresses. You know.
Exactly right.
So we
and a lot of
feats. We wrote entire subsystems because we're like, no, this has to be something condensed. And I mean, I think that Pathfinder provides you with, and D&D in general provides you with the base set of things that you can use. But you get such a look behind the scenes because they want you to change the game how you want it. One thing I feel like players, GMs don't do enough though is it's called design by exclusion. So if you're playing in a game, you're like, and no one can play a wizard. Everyone goes, what? You know? Or you can only play these 5 classes, and you're like, but what about the content from, Ultimate whatever the hell? And you're like, no, this world only has this,
Yeah.
There are no cure spells,
I did a campaign like that, and in my current horror campaign, I'm trying to for magic types more. So there's different penalties and advantage for using divine magic over arcane magic or natural magic, or psychic magic. I'm adding my own little variants to all of those so players have some interesting choices when they approach their classes. And the thing I was going to say about like how I'm designing now, it's like I'm going to give you a bunch of advantages so that I can give you more interesting disadvantages and stuff that you can face, right? Not just you take a penalty because you're trying to do something cool, which is something that I feel like a lot of times players feel with the normal rule set, right?
So have you played Mythic Adventures?
Me or him?
Not really.
I played Mythic Adventures.
Okay, so I played in a Mythic Adventures Rise of the Runelords game for a couple months, and I walked away from it and I was like, I really like the idea behind Mythic Adventures, which is to take Pathfinder and put a template on it. Like that is an awesome idea, but in their execution of it, they made the characters way too durable, right? Like I never felt at any point that I was gonna die. My dude was just like this, and I called him the Wooden Samurai. He killed stuff with a one-handed club. Like I didn't even max out damage or anything, and I just slaughtered everything. And you hear about Rise of the Runelords and like there's a bunch of TPKs and stuff. Not my experience. So I went and like that's what we took that like idea, like add the template, use this basic thing, here's some flaws, here's your bonuses, and we did that for Hypercore to make it like superheroes. And we upped all of the mechanical drama of everything, right? So like you deal way more damage, you get more attacks, and everything else also deals more damage and has guts. And the balancing part of all that, because like you add so much to either side of the scale, it's about to like snap. Is cinematic crescendos. So like everybody gets hero points, and we change how the hero points work a little bit, and you can spend them to like for the round, your turn, you just succeed at everything you do, and depending on how good your description is, you can get away with more shit. Oh my god, it works out awesome. So like every game pretty much you put the PCs in, because it's like superhero Shadowrun, so you put the PCs in the situation where it looks like they are totally screwed, and then they end up blowing all their crescendos, like turning the tide of the fight on the way out, and then maybe if they have one left to try to get more out of the negotiations for their payment for whatever the mission was.
We use something similar with our Nogwal thing we're doing.
Check out the Hypercore stuff, because that's exactly for you, dude. Like if you're adding stuff on to make the game more dramatic, that is literally the whole ethos behind what we were doing.
When we did
you can build like
that in Nogwal, where we're working on. I won't get into mechanics on that, but we have a mechanic that's what the hell is it called? It basically ends up being like you can all unifiedly activate a round of we're turning the tides. And it's a team effort, because that game's a lot about working together, and we all choose to do this thing this round, and it kind of works in a similar fashion. That hero points in general in most systems. I mean, look how Mutants and Masterminds uses it. That is a lot of fun, especially with your feats. That if you have like the luck builds, those are fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, you want to talk about squats, right?
That is one of the other RPG news we have to talk about. So squats have not returned to Warhammer 40K.
So guys, let's context before Mike starts. Squats were a race of biker dwarves in 40K for a while, and they got removed way back when.
Yeah, the interest in squats kept waning, and eventually Games Workshop just got tired of people, and they just got rid of them from the universe entirely, which is too bad, because I liked them a lot. I actually went and bought some squats at Gen Con. That's one of the only things I've gotten to buy at Gen Con, was like 3 little squats. It's like, you can't buy them anymore. Like they're squats, they don't make it.
I have 2 or 3 from my days of trying to find them out.
Oh yeah, I got Rangers.
I forget what I got. I got something from like some of the first printing ones, the little crazy like real bikery ones. But anyway, yeah. But I'm sharing the images of these the new ones.
Yeah, so they haven't brought it back to Warhammer 40K, but now in Warhammer Fantasy there are like airship armored up dwarves. So at least there are fantasy squats.
Yeah. One thing that always makes me laugh is when I see metal beards. Like all their beards on their armor are just like metal parts of the helmet. I don't know, I always think that's pretty funny. I mean, I get why they do it artistically, but...
It's my metal samurai Kabuto beard.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like dwarves, so I want to see more dwarves and stuff. Yeah. I say more interesting dwarves, too, not just... I feel like you run into a lot of the same dwarf, right?
Oh, yeah. Stock...
Like...
stock dwarf. Yeah, I know what you're talking
It's
about.
all Gimli, right? It's like, and I love Gimli, but give me more Dwalin, give me more Balin, give me more Biffer, give me more Boffer, right? You know, give me some more different kinds of dwarves.
Yeah, no, I mean, and different settings do it different ways too, which is good. But a lot of them take the very dwarf. I'm a dwarf. That's my entire personality. I'm a raging drunk. I'm a stubborn person. Whatever. I'm Scottish for some reason. Or you go the other way, which is we're the tech guys, which, yes, I get it. It's not my thing. I mean, I wish they had more to it. But yeah, in general, we were actually just talking this weekend about Duergar and Azar and stuff, because flaming dwarves are awesome. If you guys haven't seen them, so their original first edition description has them in they have metal kilts. I'm like, yes, go on. They're these flame-headed dwarves, and they're like, yeah, they're and I forget what edition says this, but they're like, their main enemy are the Ifrit, which they raid regularly. The player, oh no, the fire djinn, the mystical genie of destruction and fire. That is what you regularly raid. And you're a shirtless dude with a flaming head and metal kilts. How is this not a movie? I would watch this, man.
Hey, my cam's back.
Hey, welcome
Hi, everybody.
back, camera.
Yay.
So anyway, yeah, I think that there's a lot of room to grow in that area, especially lore-wise. There's just so much more fun to do, and you guys, Mike, I think I've mentioned this before. I hate the book that goes, here is an aqua elf, here is a sand elf, here is a dwarf or a dwarf elf. No, I wrote that.
It's a dwarf.
I wrote the dwarf.
Right.
But the here's the jungle one. Here's the feral. No, give me something interesting. Give me elves who live in the moon. Give me give me ghost elves. Give me lawful dick. Oh wait, that's a general elf. But go farther. Don't just tweak it and give me a template. Give me a whole workup, man.
A lot of my campaigns, I straight up make certain races just extinct, they just got wiped out by something. I think in my last campaign, you couldn't play elves because they all retreated into the forest after this giant event that killed 70% of them. And then I think in my current campaign, I have normal elves are extinct, and now it's just the drow that are still around. And I'm like, they won.
Drow campaigns.
So, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I like straight up murdering certain races. I think my last campaign, elves, gnomes, and dwarves were all pretty rare, and there were a bunch of humans and orcs and tieflings and other stuff like that, right?
That's cool.
In Mists of Akuma, we had there are ancestrally
Lots of goblins too.
Each element, but the only one that survived is the water ones.
Interesting.
So, I slaughtered 3 of them, I guess, or 4, 5. No, the metal, water, because the 5. Yeah.
One thing I always thought was that races should play a bigger part in your character creation.
I agree too.
So I wrote this thing called Scott Finder at once. It was based on this other thing called, there's a guy who wrote his old Pathfinder conversions, Kirk Finder. What is it? Something like that. But anyway, I wrote a thing was if I was to I released it on the boards. I was like, if I was to write Pathfinder, here's how I would start. And races were a huge thing. It was literally you straight up play a freaking dragon. You straight up play a human from our world.
Mm-hmm.
You straight up play, if you're an elf, you are an elf. And then you are, oh yeah.
It's like advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, totally.
It wasn't dwarf and stuff was just a class,
yeah,
right?
Elf. What's your class? Elf.
Yeah. Really? I think something I've always wanted to do more with a system is have have the base system be multi-classing, but do it in a sense where your social and racial thing are on one side, and then your combat is on another, right? The combat is its own rule set, right? And then the other stuff is because your character is less of how they fight things usually, right?
Well, you have to
and more of how they deal with other people, right?
You check out Shadow of the Demon Lord because you start out with class 0 is your race, and then there are 3 levels of classes, and each one is different. So you can be a rogue, thief, hydromancer, or a mage, warden, scout, master, and then like it comes back to be like human mage warden scoutmaster, human mage scoutmaster warden. It's really neat.
So
I think it'd be cool to kind of have them like level up at the same
Yeah.
time too, you know, so you kind of progress in all of them, and they feed different stuff, so you can be like, yeah, I want to be really good with guns, but I also want to be, you know, like a negotiator, like I have a sharpshooter on the side at fun, right, you know, for fun, and then I, you know,
one thing you have to remember
I'm a
when you're
diplomat the
looking
rest
at,
of the day.
when you're looking at D&D is that it comes out of a wargame tradition. It comes out
Oh
of
yeah,
chainmail,
for sure.
And then
It was all just
it's
yeah.
a single player version of chainmail. And then it was, I mean, it literally was Lord of the Rings at the beginning. I mean, the Ents were in the.
They're like, how do we make
C-section.
this how do we make the Civil War simulator
Yeah.
work for Lord of the Rings,
Well,
right?
chainmail was medieval fantasy, which is why
Mhm.
Bard was a thing, because in a lot of those wargame settings, they had the heralds, they had the musical instrument, like the fifers and whatever. So that's where we got Bard actually from, weirdly enough. But it was very interesting to see that how it progressed, because now D&D originally was, okay, now we're taking this small unit into a dungeon. And that was basically what it was. It was a dungeon crawl simulator. It was the Mines of Moria.
Yeah.
And now we're going, but what more can we expect from our games? Things like Ultimate
Yeah.
Intrigue, things like Kingmaker. I mean, like, and think of any other game outside of this, but on the D&D track, kind of, so to speak, the D20 track right there, what more can we expect? Because that's social, that's political, that's
Right.
storytelling in the abstract, that's narrative license. What can we pull from that while still not violating that core concept of I want to run and gun a dungeon, you know?
And to me, it makes sense to why not just have separate rules, right? You
No,
know, a lot
totally.
of video games do that where you go from one menu system to another and you just go from phases, right? And I think a lot of systems restrict themselves by trying to have everything work in one place, as opposed to saying there's combat and there's social encounters, and you have two completely different character sheets.
So how
You
I
know?
like to look at things are, instead of being like, all right, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, go do it. I like to think of it going, you're playing the D20 system. That is the Nintendo Entertainment System. You plug in D&D 3.5, and then I customize that and I go. You know, that's the game. So people have to think less of, I'm playing Mutants and Masterminds, therefore I'm playing a superhero game. They think, I have Mutants and Masterminds. This is a game system. And then I plug in, today I'm playing a Sentai team, you know. Today next day I'm playing gritty 90s, you know, Dark Knight Returns style thing. Frank Miller.
Lobo meets Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Which
the comic.
No, yeah. I was gonna say Rob Liefeld, the comic, which is basically what was that? Youngblood, which is
Shatterstar. The only thing I think of when I think of Rob Liefeld, because anything else I think of is horrible, so I just think of Shatterstar.
well, here,
His
anything
cool
Rob
double swords and ponytail and his head thing. You remember the helmet?
the little like face.
Yeah, the
face,
sparring helmet.
The face case.
Yes.
But yeah, no. If you go read, if you want to subject yourself to something horrible, go try read Youngblood, which the premise is really cool. The premise is what if superheroes were celebrities? Like this is a celebrity superhero team, and that's really interesting. Except he never does anything with that. In this every episode, he introduces 5 new characters, throws out the last one, and says Black Ops, guns, explosions, muscles, pouches, and then tiny little women legs, and it's like.
I really like the Rising Star comics, which I think did a better job of going that route.
Which is fun, which is like, but Liefeld is like, he's responsible for so much stuff that later gets good when someone else does it. But he's like, see what I did, guys? See what I did? And by all accounts, actually, he's a super nice dude. Everyone I've ever talked to who've met him is just like, oh, he's super nice, super excited, and he totally owns some of his. He's like, yeah, that Captain America drawing, the big.
Well, talking about superheroes.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like as an
Guardians of the
artist,
Galaxy 2 is coming out.
Oh my
soon.
god. Yes. So the next piece of other media of interest that we're talking about here, I will be going Friday evening. I cannot get off Thursday for it. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is coming out. I've heard. I'm not spoiling anything. I didn't spoil it for myself. I heard it's a much more personal story. It actually focuses on character development. And if you watched anything like Super from James Gunn beforehand, you know that he can handle a character piece like a cowboy with a trick shooter with a pistol. You know.
Did you hear about the Stan Lee thing?
Oh yeah. Well, no, it's not confirmed. He's the Watcher, is what everyone's saying now, It's quasi kind of sort of confirmed, and I think that's dumb as hell. Just let the guy be Stan Lee.
Oh no, I like the idea that he's the Watcher. I think that's awesome.
If it stays nebulous and not super defined, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't mind it as a fan theory or a partially hinted at or confirmed theory.
I can't think of anything more appropriate in the universe that we live in today and the film universe than him being the Watcher.
But the problem is then he gets involved in plots and he's an actual thing and not just a ha-ha, you know? You have to
He
start
doesn't have to
wondering...
be involved in plots.
But the Watcher is all the time, and I'm like, I don't
Well, there's
that.
It doesn't need to be Stan Lee personally whenever the Watcher gets involved later. It can be the Watcher looking like his giant-headed Watcherness, you know?
Yep,
I mean, if they can do Civil War while simultaneously never bringing the Skrull into the picture, I don't think we have to worry about him being the Watcher. So, you know.
Like I said, I don't care. I just don't want it confirmed. I'm just like, yeah, hint at it. Be like, totally like, oh, he probably is. I just don't want it confirmed. Don't tell me that, because I don't want to have to worry about, like, what the implications of him actually being the Watcher, like, defined, print, cut. I just don't want that. But yeah, Guardians 2 coming out this weekend.
He's always been the Watcher. It's a metaphor, like every other superhero.
I get it. You get the Jack Kirby literally redrawing the Thing at one point. But no, I mean, so Guardians. First one, fantastic. James Gunn can handle a film like a motherfucker, and I am so down for that. I'm so pumped for this. Nothing... The reviews have been... Well, it's not as good as the first one, but it's a damn good movie. And you know what the thing is, though? We're judging Marvel movies against Marvel movies now because they don't hold up against anything else. Everything else is just like Marvel sits here, everyone else is here, and we have to be like, was it here or here or here or here?
Plus, it's always difficult to judge movies against their prequels.
Yeah, totally.
Right? It's like, it's not really fair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going to do it anyway, but you have to keep in mind that it's not really fair because, you know, I don't know. You have to look at movies somewhat in a vacuum, but then it also has the disadvantage of them being somewhat requiring the knowledge from the previous franchise for you to understand it. The intertextuality is its own conflict.
Mike, do you want me to open that thing you posted?
Yeah, go ahead, check it out. So last week, I do a Hyperscore Marvel, where every week I make a different Marvel character using the Hyperscore system. It's very versatile. Anyway, at some point in the discussion that resulted from Moon Knight, we got talking about like how movies did like by like box office rankings, and so I made a sheet that compares all of the, not adjusting for inflation, all of the Marvel versus DC and other superhero movies and how they've done at the box office. And Marvel just like dominates.
Oh yeah,
without question. It's pretty one-sided.
And if you look at,
I think it's pretty amazing the universe they've set up.
I mean,
as far as like interconnected movies
of the next decade, century, whatever. People are trying to mimic this till the day, the heat death of the universe because of how much money it made. But,
it's the evolution of the Star Wars formula. So,
yeah.
Of the top 20 movies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are DC Comics. 1 is Hancock, and then the rest are all Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Hancock was because of Will Smith. Also, Hancock was a fun freaking movie, man. I loved it.
Actually, Hancock was a movie that I liked. I liked it for the beginning, and then as soon as it hit a certain point, it completely fell apart, and I was like, this movie
honestly
was kind of disappointing for me.
I liked the weird alien stuff that merged spirits and whatever. I know people didn't. They just want to see more drunk Will Smith running around. But I thought it was fun. I know I'm a sucker for camp, though. I love camp. So.
That's something that's worth mentioning. The sequel to what is it? Glass is the one with Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson.
I didn't see it.
It wasn't. No, the new one's gonna be called Glass. For Unbreakable.
Okay.
Unbreakable. Oh, how Cloverfield Lane tied into, or no, Split tied into Unbreakable.
No, Split and Unbreakable are tied together, and they're making a sequel to them both called Glass.
Interesting.
Unbreakable is really cool, actually.
I need to see both, so I don't.
Oh yeah, no, it's about like, so Will Smith is this like, or not Will Smith, I'm sorry, Bruce Willis is this security guard at like at a sports stadium, and like he's trying to hide from everyone that he's got like superpowers, and this dude ends up finding out, this guy being Samuel L. Jackson, he's a comic book store owner and like millionaire,
Oh, I
guy.
heard about that. I haven't seen it.
And he's got like, glass. His bones aren't made of glass, but he's got a condition where he's got very, weak bones. And he like decides to become the villain to Bruce Willis. It's very good. It's very good. Check it out.
I'd like to see it. So.
Yeah,
So
on
while
Breaking.
we're talking about James Gunn,
There's a lot of movies I'm behind on.
have you guys ever seen Super?
That sounds familiar. I don't know if I've seen it. Is that the the guy red costume wrench?
Yes.
I haven't seen it, I don't think, but I've almost watched it many times.
There's some really.
The guy from The Office in it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Oh,
that's the one.
Dwight.
But yeah, anyway, it's a really. If you watch that and then you saw why when he walked into Marvel's, so I have this theory, okay? I have this headcanon here that goes like this: James Gunn walked into the office and goes, "Guys, I got a Guardians of the Galaxy pitch," and they all looked at him like, "Guardians of the Galaxy? Who the hell knows who Guardians of the Galaxy are?"
Exactly
and
right.
then he was like, "Wait," pulls out a script and is like, "Bam, take a look at this." And he goes, "It's Super, but in space," and they went, "Let me see that," Like, literally, as soon as I heard Guardians were getting a movie, I was like, someone walked in with the mother of all pitches and was just like, here's the strongest writer you're ever going to see for a movie, and that was how they got it made. And James Gunn, by all accounts that I've heard thus far, has done it again. It is good. It is maybe not as good as the first, but you can never get that new movie smell again, you know what I mean?
I think it's interesting how many current filmmakers got a lot of their start in horror, because James Gunn did Slither,
Yep.
and then Guillermo del Toro did a lot of horror in his early movies, and then even I had another example, and then I lost it. But yeah, it's just interesting to me how a lot of filmmakers start there, because even James Wan, who does like the Insidious and Conjuring movies, is getting more deals and stuff now too. So,
well, again, like you were saying earlier about horror games, horror movies are not easy to film.
well, it's a genre that's very hard to avoid tropes in,
Yeah.
and it's a genre that's very difficult because you have to but try to think of a way that you can use them differently, or use them in a way that they're not expecting, or use their expectations against them, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's not as simple as saying, oh, this is a movie and I'm going to show this guy's really cool because he's going to smash something with his fist, right?
But the same thing with a superhero movie.
Yeah.
It's been done to death. There's so many tropes existing on it. And that's literally, that's the problem is, like, and if you take the piss out of a superhero movie by trying to deconstruct it too much, you get movies like Defendor, which was a good movie, but it was like, it doesn't feel like a superhero movie anymore. It's not fun. That's why I love the camp. I live for the camp.
I think you have to use the camp well, though.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And
you can misuse it entirely.
I remember the other director I was going to say. I was going to say it was going to be Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson started in horror, too, if any of you have ever seen Brain Dead, or as it's... yeah, I forgot. It's weird because it was released in New Zealand under one name, and then it was released in the States under a different name. Dead Alive. It's either Dead Alive or Brain Dead. It's one of those names. It's both, technically, right? But he did that, and then like Meet the Feebles and stuff, and then went to make Lord of the Rings, which was like one of the most successful movies ever, right? Yeah. You know, and then you have somebody like James Gunn who did Slither, right, which is about these weird alien slugs, you know, impregnating people and stuff, and now he makes, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's inspiration for people like me, where I'm like, I'm working on my dumb little idea, and maybe someday I'll be able to, you know, work on a bigger project.
All right, guys. So our next area, I think we should move out to. I mean, I'm sure next week will be, or I'll be talking about Guardian. I'm sure. We got some Kickstarters coming up here.
Yeah, Touch of Class is about to end. It's got at this moment 40 hours left, and $80,000.
Jesus,
which
man.
is awesome and humbling, because like I wrote a lot of that, so that makes me feel cool.
I'm gonna give you the. I'm going to give you the Super Smash Bros. I lost the match clap.
Yeah, I don't get none of that cash, but I'm glad they're getting it, and I'm super excited that so many people are going to get exposed to my material. That's going to be sweet.
It's nice knowing that you got stuff in other people's hands.
Yeah, it feels really good. Like, that's a lot of books, man. That's a lot of fucking books going out. Like, Years
you
from now,
guys-
people are going to be finding that in like half-price bins and stuff. You know.
Right. I mean,
Sooner
you guys
than
are
wanna
going to be.
think.
You guys are going to be some of the places where some of my first published art too. So you guys have
yeah.
my stuff out there, and you're helping me get on the map. So
Sure.
Wait,
Yeah.
trust me, if I ever
didn't I
make it
contact
big,
you on like didn't I contact you on like DeviantArt or something?
I'm
that
pretty
you?
sure somebody I was doing commissions for forwarded me to you.
Yeah, okay.
And
No,
then
I got from DeviantArt. I got a few artists by just going to DeviantArt going, hey, can I use your stuff? I'll pay you for it. Hey, can I commission you? What's your rates? But yeah, no, that was fun. What was the first thing you did?
it's nice. The first thing I did? What do you mean?
What's the first
I
thing you
did the
all
I
the
did
path-
races first.
Oh, you did
I
Gauth
think.
first. Gauth is the first thing you did, I think. The commission
Yeah,
sketch.
I get like. And now I look back at that art and I'm like, oh my god, I would never in a million years let anybody pay me to give them that.
But no, you know the thing is though, we've used Gauth for like a million like favorite class. I love the art for it, so I'm always like, let's just keep tossing it on there. But anyway, so yeah, Kickstarters, you got that one. The other one I was looking at today was Maximum Apocalypse. Dead Winter was the game I've been playing. I played it a few weeks back, and this feels a lot like Dead Winter plus like Zombie. If you ever played that like game, where you lay out like street corners and zombies on it and try to survive. If for no other reason, check out this Kickstarter for the awesome video. It sounds like you have some kind of crazy game announcer just like announcing the whole thing. It's just fun.
I'm always down for corny announcers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That was like one of my favorite parts of WildStar was when you leveled up and he'd be like, "Fuck yeah!"
But yeah, they
I was
asked
like,
for
"Yes,
14K.
this is what I need."
So here's an indication that was a really good hire for them because they wanted 14K and they're 128K. I damn Kickstarter. Sometimes, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I might have to do something big for next time we do a Kickstarter.
Again, Book of Exalted Darkness.
Yeah, man, we'll pimp that. You
May
know that when it comes out, we'll be pimping
23rd.
it.
Gonna have to hook me up with a PDF of that so I can incorporate some of that stuff.
You should. You were saying you liked Risks. You should check out Mr. Akuma and the Haitoku and stuff, dude. It's totally one of those here's enough rope to hang yourself kind of things.
I feel like it's one of those. I feel like I've done like work for a couple of books now, but I don't like have any of them. I know I got like the alternate Marshall from
Oh, you should have
Scott.
gotten at least the
somewhere there.
PDF.
But yeah,
I think I did, but then I like lose it, or it's
I'd
like
say if
gets
you ever want
lost
any
in
of the
my
ones you
email.
work on, just shoot me a message.
Mhm.
Check your drive-through account. You can re-download it. But yes, it's.
And then hopefully once my game gets released, I start making some money. I can start backing some of more of these Kickstarters you guys got going.
Well, whenever somebody runs Kickstarter, even $1 helps.
It
And
really
that's
does.
not like a joke. It really does. Like Kickstarter cares more. All the algorithms for how visible a project is cares much more about the number of backers versus how much money the project has.
Yeah, definitely.
So
If you got 1,000
if you
backers
really
or
like
100,
Kickstarter, yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah.
It's more about how many people you actually have, because that means that's more people they can reach in the future. That's more people that they can tap into in the future.
It's better for their brand
Yeah.
as a company. Yeah. So, anyway, Naiche, free discussion topic. What do you
Yeah,
want
so-
to talk about?
So yammer away.
I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about? all I do literally in my life right now is just working on my game and then trying to slip in matches of Overwatch in between like
Add me
big
sometime, man.
writing benches. I play on Xbox One though.
That's alright. I'm terrible. I would be a complete waste.
I'm
of
no
space.
good either. I'm no good either, so don't worry about it.
I was a TF2 guy for a while, and then I came over and I'm like, this is so quick. Why would you ever like do a match that's 2 minutes long? You know?
I'm one of those people where it's like I like a lot of first person shooter games, but my aim is just terrible. So it's like I can learn all of them. I just have bad reaction times. Like it's like I can understand all the mechanics and the matchups and like all this stuff, and I get real into all that stuff, but then I just do not have the physical skill to back it up.
I understand all of this, but I'm still gonna die, and all that means is I can foresee my own death.
I'm gonna learn about the frame data and the reload speed times and all this shit and the high level techniques and stuff, and then just not be able to implement any of it because I
And
just
then
draw
Troy Gaines
chalk
are going,
lines around my but the guy's just running in a straight line and I'm just drawing bullets around his body. It's awful. It's pathetic. So I'm like, I'll just play Mercy and just heal people.
You know, when I played TF2 for the first like 3 months, I think I just played the medic because I was just like, nope, I'm not good enough to play anyone else. I
I
will
play
get
the
everyone's
spy.
way.
I feel like I'm too maybe I'm at that point where I'm too old to play shooters now. Like my reflexes just aren't good enough. Right,
Well,
and train them.
I feel like it because another thing is like there's that comic where it's like the guys with like in an MMO they're like noobs, and on the other side they're like, I'm gonna go have sex with my wife in like in a way that's illegal in 5 states and see you later. but you're not as good as us. Yeah, well, bye. It's like I don't have time to do as much of it as I want. I would love to. I haven't played Overwatch in 2 weeks, I think. At least. I haven't played Guild Wars 2 in in about a week, and I try playing that every day because I like to go through it. It's fun. I like to do the map exploration. It's my zen place at night.
Oh shit! I have a bunch of messages on Tumblr I need to check.
Oh god.
Well,
Anyway.
that sounds like a good time to end the show then.
Yeah.
It's been fun, guys. I'm sorry I
yeah.
don't have more links to share with you.
Oh no, by all means.
Once I get my Kickstarter up for the game, I'll let you guys have that link, and then if we ever can do any cross promotion for your guys' Kickstarters and stuff, I'll do that too. Yeah, just let me know. Make sure you guys go check out Boulder Games and the Red Facebook page. That's all I want to say.
The BOLDER games, right?
Yep, Boulder as in bold, not Boulder as in rock.
All right.
Is that where they're located?
No, they're located in Denver, which is terribly
in-
confusing.
They're in Boulder, actually.
Oh, they are in Boulder?
Denver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, they're
I'm
Boulder
last
and
year,
Boulder.
Yeah, I'm in Denver, but they're in Boulder.
Well, that's a way to remember their name, because that's a bold name for
Yeah.
a company called Boulder and Boulder.
Yep.
All right, guys. So thanks for joining us again. We don't need to do another. We don't need to do a prize drawing. So yeah.
If you'd like to win free stuff, $50 of PDFs from Scott and a print proof of one of my books, which includes Mists of Akuma, 2099 Wasteland, Hypercore 2099. Check out our previous videos, find the secret words, and email them to mistofakuma@gmail.com.
Do it.
Could be put into a lottery. Not everyone will get one of those. One person will get those things.
You can have a hardcover book with some of my art in it, which
And that's awesome.
really isn't a motivator, but you should do it
Oh,
anyway.
come on, man! You have some of the sexiest art out there.
You
I'll tell
did
you
some
what.
pretty excellent art in that book.
I actually like the stuff that I did for Mists of Akuma.
Yeah, dude.
Sometimes I look back at my old stuff and I'm like, oh my god, I hate this.
You know what my favorite
Well, we
one
did like
was?
an artist pool. Like we had like 15 different people submit several pieces, and then we sat around for like an hour, and we were like, okay, we like this person for this chapter. We like this person for this. And Naiche came up as one of the people. We were like, yes.
You know what my favorite ones you did was the Sentai hero from Gonzo 2?
The Henshin hero was
Henshin
awesome.
Hero,
He's
yeah,
one of my
Henshin Hero.
favorites.
With the
Yeah, he
freaking
was
flaming
cool.
leg, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. I liked him too. I liked the Dynamancer.
The
He was pretty
Dynamancer
cool
is
too.
like my personal logo at this point, by the way, just letting you know. I've used them for stuff. I've just been like, I need artwork for something. And it's like, with the nunchucks over his arm, I'm just like, that is so absurd and wonderful.
I have some of the Mists of Akuma art on my portfolio page actually right now. I have the Mekusenshi up there. I've got the Tornado, and I've got the Clockwork Warrior all up there on my portfolio site because I like them so much.
That's
Did
awesome.
you see the coloring I tried for the Mekusenshi? It's in the Wasteland Primer. But yeah, check it out. I think I did a pretty decent job.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's bringing our show to the end here. I will see you guys next week. And Mike, have fun on your trip.
Lewis Porter will be subbing in for me as co-host, we believe. I have to remind him in an email tonight, but he said he would. So.
All right, guys.
But I'm going to New Zealand.
See you guys later.